This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Technological advancements, European influences, and a deep societal need to shake that ass created the perfect breeding ground for the explosion of dance music in the 1990s. From dance club floors to wedding receptions, dance music was everywhere at the end of the 20th century, with some of the biggest hits even crossing over into mainstream radio. Now, 30 plus years later, the great pop culture debate wants to put its hands up and determine the best 90s dance hit of all time. Hello, I would like to speak to the manager of Crystal Waters. The love that I purchased was not, in fact, 100%. It was quite filthy. I'm your host, Eric Resniak. Please help me welcome my Club Kids panelists for this episode. I don't know anybody else with more groove in their heart. It's the Patreon sponsor for this episode, Derek Makita.
Ooh, Eric, just a touch of love is all I need.
Well, you know what they say, Derek. A moment on the lips, a lifetime on the Valtrex prescription. In English, he's the one they call mouth. In France, he's la bouche. Please welcome back Dr. Ryan Androsiglio.
Hey, I want a Vila Scalapini.
In this place, we only serve tongue. You boys like tongue?
We're mixing references, but
we
they'll
are.
appreciate
It's
that.
fine. And just so everybody knows, his doctorate is, in fact, in sick beats. And finally, she is a Barbie girl. She is a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Please welcome Sandie Cianflone to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'll take the house in Malibu, but sorry, Ken, I prefer my men with anatomical parts.
I believe every single member of this panel concurs with that statement, Sandie. So welcome. And up at the producer booth, we have Curtis Creekmore waving his arms in the air as though he does not care. Now, in the interest of time, we're going to skip the preamble, which you can now find in a bonus primer on our feed. But do head to greatpopculturedebate.com and find the listener bracket for this episode so you can play along with us at home. While you're there, you can also find a playlist featuring all 16 of the songs on the bracket, as well as some additional 90s dance picks from our panelists. I think it's probably a great idea while you're listening to this to stop during the arguments, listen to the songs we're discussing, and then continue on so that you can actually hear what we're referencing. And with that out of the way, let's report to our first shift at the CNC Music Factory and move on to these debates. First, it's a unanimous victory for ultimate number one seed Rhythm as a Dancer by Snap, which gave 4 seed Gina G's Ooh Ah just a little bit absolutely no chance of survival. Next, the majority of the panel is preemptively applying antiperspirant as they push for 2 seed Gonna Make You Sweat by CNC Music Factory to advance. But I think that 3 seed Groove is in the Heart by Delight is the lovely and delicious. Derek, let the rhythm take control. Let your body move you to defend Sweat. I'm going to dance and have some fun defending Groove. I will go first. So I'm on the outs here. I understand that. I actually do think this is a great song. So it is the definition of infectious. Every element of this song is scientifically engineered to burrow into your brain and activate your ass. The nonstop tambourine line, that funky bass, a slide whistle, ladies and gentlemen. A slide whistle. And it's so well deployed. It's brilliant. Lyrically, it's one of the more complex songs we have on the list. Like, it has an actual verse as well as a chorus, and it even has a terrific rap break in the middle. Is it a bop? Is it a banger? We did not have such definitions in the 90s. It's just fucking great. This is one of the songs on the list that had greater appreciation far outside dance clubs, as it was on regular rotation on MTV and mainstream radio. Depending on your personal rubric, that could help or hurt it here. But this 70s throwback new disco number was very much a part of the 90s musical stew, and I think it is quintessentially of its time while heavily referencing the past. And in summation, I'd just like to say, dig. Have I changed anyone's opinion here? I'm going to start with Derek. Are you sticking with what was up against Snap's rhythm?
No,
Gonna Make
You Sweat. Yeah. No, you haven't changed my mind. But I do love Delight, and that music video is everything. It really is.
Yeah. Sandie, are you sticking with CNC Music Factory here?
Oh, I'm sticking with CNC, friend.
Yep, I figured. Ryan?
Yeah, with CNC, though I would add Robbie Rob's Boricua Anthem is probably my preferred CNC track.
Well, there you go. And so we can have Ryan save his argument till next round because I'm not going to win here. Is that cool with you, Ryan?
Sure.
Yeah, perfect. So we will be moving CNC Music Factory into round 2. Next, in another unanimous victory, 1 seed Be My Lover by La Bouche kissed off 4 seed Venga Boys. Boom, 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 boom. Venga Boys. 2 songs.
I want you
Still
in my
not sure.
room.
Yeah, so I'm not into it. Next, 3/4 final wants 2 seed Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch to keep pounding away with Good Vibrations. But Dr. Ryan wants 3 seed Daft Punk to be his travel companion so he goes around the world. Sandie, come on. See if your arguments for Good Vibrations can swing it to unanimous victory. Ryan, get out your passport and rep for Daft Punk and World. I'm going to have Ryan go first here.
Sure thing. This track, and I would say the larger catalog for Daft Punk, I would say is quintessential to this era and to EDM and its evolution in general. They're still producing music up until just very recently. Random Access Memories was a fantastic record. The use of that vocoded robot voice was also groundbreaking at the time and is still very much used today. And this Around the World track has a lot of, and this is, maybe one of the criticism against it. It can be a little bit repetitive, but if you imagine the type of venue and the type of context in which this song would have been making the dance
amount of E
wild,
you were on,
and the amount of MDMA you were consuming, indeed. You were up in the front, you were in front of the subwoofers, the bass from this track was just blowing your face off. And so the repetition just kind of tranced you into that groove, so it fit that kind of musical purpose.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I think Sandie's point is well taken, that it is a song that almost requires drugs. But yes. Sandie, why don't you talk to us about Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch? Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about Mark Wahlberg. No shirt on.
Oh, we're going there first, I see.
We're going there first. I know. We're going there first. But beyond that, I mean, we're talking about apples and oranges here. If we're really comparing these 2 songs, right? We're talking about Daft Punk, which I think carries us into the early 2000s club scene, where we're talking about Marky Mark bringing us out of the 1980s club scene and grappling with that. I don't really know what we are, 1990s crowd or things. I think it's so hard to compare these 2 songs. I think Ryan makes some really valid points, but if we're talking about the 1990s and we're talking about the birth of the 90s dance scene, we cannot have a conversation about this without Marky Mark. You just can't. You just can't. The piano, this is 1991, folks. Like we just can't have that conversation without him. So that's why he deserves his place in the sun.
And abs for days. Derek, where are you on this one?
So I'm still with Good Vibrations. I take nothing away from Around the World. It is a fantastic track from the 90s. But as Eric likes to point out, there are almost 2 different decades going on in the 90s here. You have early 90s dance music, and then, where we're sliding into more techno, more experimentation, more songs that don't have vocals. And for
more
me,
MDMA.
But also the music of the early 90s was very vocal heavy and very vocal forward. So to me, that's what defines an early 90s dance track. So for me, I think it's still Good Vibrations.
And let me ask you a question, Derek. Do you think, though, that the differentiation between the early 90s and the late 90s is more of the vibe? I feel like songs in the early 80s still needed like the hook and the chorus, whereas with like the later 90s, you sort of had the trans scene coming out and things like that. And so
I mean, you're bringing up a very good point, and Eric and actually Ryan touched on it before, where there are a lot of songs that we think of as more purely club that didn't make it into the brackets, and it's because they didn't have more mainstream radio play outside of main urban centers like New York, and that's why we heard it all on radio.
True.
So you have to think about the people who are voting on these polls. They haven't heard some of these songs that we put on the polls, and that's unfortunate. And we're gonna have a playlist for you. Go to that playlist, listen to it. Your mind will be blown.
Yep, agree with that. So my thing in this is that as much as I love Daft Punk, "Around the World" is not my favorite song by them. I do agree with the argument that it is a gateway into the 2000s music more than I think it's emblematic of 90s. I do not detract in any way from Daft Punk's critical importance to the EDM scene, but I don't think that is necessarily the topic at hand. And in terms of which is a more 90s song, for that reason, I give it to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. It also has, and I don't know if we're going to be able to talk about this in the next round, the Lolita Holloway sample, which sampling the 70s disco in the 90s music was a critical component of that decade. Yes. And in my opinion, that's one of the best all-time samples of a song that people need to know the original. I love Sensation. So anyway, all that being said, we will be advancing Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch into round 2. Next, the majority of the panel wants to put a ring on One Seed Corona and the Rhythm of the Night, but I am saying, snap, literally, as I want 4 Seed Snap and the power to continue into round 2. Ryan, why does Corona's rhythm still get you? I will make like He-Man as I say, I've got the power. I'll go first. I'm not going to win this. That's fine. But this is more of a vote against Rhythm of the Night than it is a vote for the power. Honestly, Rhythm of the Night has never done anything for me. It is a pretty low-key. Seriously, I find it very low-key for a 90s dance song. I find the backing tracks to be fairly generic, the vocals to be blasé, and the song structure to be so flat that it's very much a her situation for me. The power, on the other hand, immediately puts you in a headlock with that aggressive industrial sample that that sounds like people banging it out. But anyway, it doesn't let you go. This song has layers. You've got those soulful vocals by Penny Ford, the catchy it's getting hectic rap long. It drives. It has a cooler feel to it than many of the songs on this list. I actually think it's great, and it's one of the oldest on this list, coming in 1990. I understand we already have one much more popular Snap song on this list, but honestly, between these two songs, it's no contest for me. That being said, Ryan, talk to me about why I should like the Rhythm of the Night, because right now it escapes me.
So it's interesting that you brought up the structure of the track, because actually one of my favorite aspects, at least of the standard radio edit version of this track, is that it starts not with that like heavy backbeat synth tracking, and it starts actually a cappella, so you get the vocals first. And why this is significant is it makes the track more DJ friendly. If you're working a room, it's an interesting way to make a transition by having an a cappella vocal of a track come in on top of the previous track's bass line or outro. And so built into the structure of the song, I think, is a really interesting way for DJs to get a crowd moving with it. The chorus, the vocals here are quintessential signature. They're very singable, and the beat is just very danceable. In any room that I can remember being in where this original track or remix of this track, I'm on the dance floor.
And you're specifically talking about the Rhythm of the Night.
Yes.
Yes. Sandie,
in case we forgot.
I just wanted to make sure.
Just to be clear, this is the Rhythm of the Night.
The Rhythm of the Night. Sandie, where are you on this one?
I'm going with Snap every day. Every day.
Ooh,
yeah,
all right.
I'm going with
Really?
Snap. The Rhythm of the Night's great, and it does have this way about it. But I feel like if we're talking about, we have to keep going back to what we're actually talking about, and we're talking about the best 90s dance track. And I still feel like, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, I think off air, but this has this jock jams quality to it to some extent. And Snap, I honestly, when I started filling out this bracket, I was like, oh my God, Snap has to like make it up there. And so I'm going with Snap.
Derek, where are you?
Yes, so this is not my preferred Snap track, and you also lost me at Jock Jams, so I'm going to stick with the rhythm tonight.
I love that CD.
I have all of them.
It was in my Eclipse convertible.
Absolutely.
Oh God.
It does not surprise me at all that Ryan Androsiglio had all the Jock Jam CDs. That actually completely makes sense.
Yeah, most of these tracks I still have either on CD or mixtape.
Yeah.
I bet that you do. So we are tied right now, and the way we work on minisodes with ties is that we go around and have tiebreakers. Derek, as the Patreon sponsor for this episode, you would be the first tiebreaker. Are you giving it to the rhythm of the night?
I am, and I don't feel bad about it because there is another Snap track on here, and it is actually the superior one. So let's move forward.
Next, the majority of the panel wants to go back to the middle and around again with 2-seed 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters. But Derek wants One More Night at the Roxbury with 3-seed What Is Love by Hadaway. Sandie, it's 12 past midnight. Be our answer, be our wish, and push for Pure Love to succeed. Derek, don't hurt me no more in your defense of Hadaway. I'm going to have Derek go first.
So I realize I'm in the minority here with wanting to push forward What Is Love, but let's be very clear. This song was and continues to be a cultural touchstone. It is one of only 2 hits by Hadaway, though you could be forgiven for forgetting Rock My Heart because it didn't see anywhere near as much airplay. It was actually produced by a German husband and wife duo with vocals by Trinidadian vocalist Nestor Alexander Hadaway. It hit number 1 in 13 different countries and number 11 here on the Billboard Hot 100. I've read a few reviews comparing it to Seal's Crazy, which is sort of like contemporaneous of the time, but the reality is that it's really got its own unique sound. It's got that soaring female vocal part, which was just a generic sample, totally uncredited. No one knows who it was. It's a total banger from the golden age of house music, and I think holds its own against Crystal Waters in this matchup. But do I think it holds up to modern listening in the same way as 100% Pure Love? No, but I also don't think that we can have a conversation about 90s dance music without having a conversation about Hadaway.
Sure. No, that's a great point. Sandie, talk to us about 100% Pure Love.
I didn't realize I was going up against my brother, but first of all, not the iconic Crystal Waters song, right? Gypsy Woman is the iconic Crystal Waters song. It's been sampled over and over again, but 100% Pure Love is like the antithesis of like her top Billboard. And I realize I'm just going on like, popular vote here with that, but it just, to me, it encompasses who she was as an artist at that time. Also, fun fact, she was from Jersey. I still have no idea where in Jersey this Deptford Township, New Jersey, and I'm going to get like hate mail after this now. If anybody can tell me where that is,
listen,
please.
if it's in South Jersey, you're not going to get hate mail because those people don't have email yet.
Oh, yep, that's right.
I didn't say that. Just so you know, direct all correspondence to Derek Makita. Thank you. But no, first of all, Crystal Waters has to be on this list. Period. End of story. Like, I get what you're saying about Hadaway, but Hadaway was like, I'm sorry, Saturday Night Live really put Hadaway on the map. Okay, that was it. For me. Crystal Waters, she just signified the like mid 90s dance vocalist that you even hear in the Whitney Houston, It's Not Right, But It's Okay. Like you sort of hear the similarities that are pulled from her music. And so for that reason, by itself, other than the New Jersey reason that I know that I'm going to get hate mail for, she deserves to move forward.
Ryan, where are you on this one?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Crystal Waters here. That Hadaway track, for that SNL reason, is exactly the reason why this is actually even perhaps more a vote against Hadaway. That skit is worth a rewatch for our listeners to get kind of the subtext there. I found it to be a little homophobic. I found it to be a little cutting against the underground club scene in a way that was like almost mocking. And so for that reason, that track for me is associated with, not so good vibes.
I'm glad we talked about Hathaway for this. I agree with Derek's point that we can't not talk about this song with a 90s dance topic. But Crystal Waters' 100% Pure Love it's pussy, bitch. Like, that song is... It is. And we're going to get more into that next round because 100% Cure Love, 100% Pure Love is continuing into round 2. Next, it's another unanimous victory, this time for 1 seed Vogue by Madonna, which shut down 4 seed We Like to Party by the Venga Boys. Goodbye, Venga Boys! You made it onto the bracket 2 times and both out in unanimous decisions in round 1. We love to see it. Finally, in round 1, it's, finally, the 2 seed CC Peniston song, which is currently deadlocked against 3 seed Show Me Love by Robin S. Sandie, explain why finally should still be happening to us in round 2. Ryan, words are so easy to say. Ooh, ah. You've got to show us why Show Me Love should advance. I'm going to have Ryan go first.
that was an excellent rendition, I have to say.
Wasn't it almost like Robin S. came down and inhabited my body in that moment?
You were channeling her spirit.
Yep.
I just love this track. I have such good nostalgia for it. It has a sick bass beat. That synth is infectious. And it was actually sampled pretty recently. Jason Derulo in the single "Don't Want to Go Home," 2011, samples this track. There's also, I've read, Kid Ink sampled it in 2013.
Oh my God.
In his single.
I don't know what that is.
Show Me.
What is Kid Ink?
I don't know. I don't know what that is either.
Is it Kids Bop? Is that what's happening here?
Is it Kids Bop?
I don't know.
I'm really not sure. But yeah, this is one of my favorites.
Interesting. I say interesting because this is another one of those songs where I was just like, her? But Sandie, talk to me about finally.
No.
Okay, wait. Let's time out for a second. Derek is about to pass out. So first of all, I will say that Show Me Love was one of my favorite single albums of all time. The single album was excellent. Just the remixes that were on the album, it was excellent. Okay. But listen, if you cannot Cabbage Patch your way out of this, finally, I'm sorry, you are not in the 90s dance scene. I mean, and honestly, I want to send you guys this picture of her from 2012. She's gorgeous. She was a former beauty queen. I get that, but she is amazing.
Are we talking about CC Peniston, or are we talking about the song?
I'm sorry.
This is why I love to have siblings on the podcast, by the way, because no one is more savage to you. Nobody is more savage to you than your sibling.
Yeah, he does not care about my feelings. Anyway, no, but she was behind so many different other songs. I think I'm going to lose this battle. I can see it all over your faces, guys. Oh.
I don't think you are, because I think you're probably, but Derek, where are you on this one?
So, spoiler alert, Show Me Love is actually my victor in the final. So I got a lot to lose here. And I got a whole mess of facts for Show Me Love. But what it really comes down to is pop culture cachet for me. Beyonce's Break My Soul was inspired by this track. The sound is so specific to this track that she had to actually come out and credit the song, even though it's not an exact sample. I doubt that we would get half the stuff on that Renaissance album were it not for this song in particular. So I'm sticking with Show Me Love. Okay, so Sandie, I will say this. I was 100%, because I'll be the tiebreaker here if I was voting for finally, right? Because we'd be split. Knowing that it is the Patreon sponsor's choice for the whole episode,
oh my gosh, I
cannot in good conscience knock it out in round 1. But I'm just going to say this quickly, because I know we're running over on this particular debate. I can see producer Curtis burrowing his eyes into my soul. If you have not listened to the 16-inch mix of Finally by CeCe Peniston, go look it up on Spotify. It is spectacular. It's like 5+ minute. It is CUNT. Like, you can't listen to this and not be like feeling every one of your oats. It's so good. It is featured prominently in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. It has its own pop culture cachet. I think it is the better of the two songs. I cannot in good conscience knock the Patreon sponsors ultimate pick out in round one. I can't do it. I'm sorry, Sandie. So we will be moving Show Me Love into round two. And that's it for round one. We're going to take a quick break to pump up the jam, specifically Marmalade. And we'll be right back after these messages.
$5 can't buy you much these days. In the 90s, a Big Mac Extra Value Meal rang in at $4.59. Today, the same meal will cost you $7.89 and leave you filled with regret. You know who would never do that to you? The Great Pop Culture Debate. For just $5 a month, our Patreon supporters gain access to a treasure trove of unaired content, like those secret fries at the bottom of the bag. So if you're hungry for some delicious pop culture content, pass on the Big Mac and head to greatpopculturedebate.com to become a Patreon supporter today. Aw, now I'm hungry.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Feud, Capote versus the Swans. Inspired by actual events, the series tells the story of Truman Capote and the women he betrayed. The original housewives. They were society's most elite women. Rich, glamorous socialites who defined a bygone era of high society New York. From creator Ryan Murphy, this drama series features an all-star cast, including Naomi Watts, Demi Moore, and Diane Lane. FX's Feud. All new Wednesdays on FX Stream on Hulu.
TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
And we're back for round two of our Best 90s Dance Hit Debate. Before we get to the Elite Eight, I want our panelists to share their social media, what else they're working on, and how they first got introduced to 90s dance music. Derek, our Patreon sponsor, where can people find you? What are you working on? And how did you get into this topic?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and Threads at DRKMKT. I was a very gay little boy in the early 90s, and as part of my mother's attempt to get my sister and I into the same activity at the same time with one single drop-off or as close to it, we were both in dance school at the same time.
Yes, God.
So for me, it was tap and jazz, and I had the best jazz class teacher in the world. Shout out Miss Ginny. Don't know where you are now, but she played the best 90s dance music for our songs that we used to practice to. So that's how I got into it, and it's stuck.
I don't think there's any better gateway drug into gayness than tap class as a child, honestly. It's just basically a direct pipeline. So thank you. Thank you to the Sue Cropper School of Dance in Lafayette, New York. Actually, no, they would never let me go because I was too gay. Thank you, Derek. And thank you again for sponsoring this episode. It's been a lot of fun. Dr. Ryan, do you want to share your socials?
Dr. Ryan doesn't have any socials, but he will give a shout out plug to someone who does. There's a DJ, Matt Effect. You can find him on SoundCloud. We were recently at a party and he was DJing and he was spinning all of my favorite 90s tracks that did not make this bracket. So shout out to him. Big thanks.
Big thanks. Great. And how did you get into 90s dance music?
KTU 103.5, and back then the tagline was that it was the new KTU, and that lasted for maybe a decade or more. All
right. And Sandie, socials, what else you're working on, and how did you also get into it through tap dance?
Obviously. So my social, you can find me on Instagram at SandieEY, because no one knows how to spell spell my name at all. But how did I really get into 90s dance music? Is through my brother, through Derek. I know this was going to be the heartwarming version of this, but let's be honest, we were drinking our Mike's Hard Lemonade and we were driving around in the Jetta and, doing all the bad things. And, honestly, that time frame, Derek and I grew up with music, and I could not think of a better person closest to my age to introduce me to a whole different world of excitement and vibes than my brother. So I'm so happy he asked me to be on this podcast.
Yes, and just to be clear, this was our music. My parents hated this music, so
yes,
it was all the more reason to love it. Yeah,
as is the right of every 90s teenager to have music that their parents hated. So thank you guys, that was really sweet. This is like the most wholesome thing that we've probably ever had on the podcast. So thank you for that moment. I really do appreciate it.
Do you need me to say fuck right now? Because I can make it less wholesome. I can bring it down. I can bring it down.
I was going to make a whole joke, but that'll do it. That'll break the tension. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And you can find me at Eric Resniak on Twitter and Instagram. I'm trying to get off of Twitter. It's hard to break the habit. Or just message at Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram or TikTok, or at GPCD on Mastodon. How did I get into 90s dance music? I really only was able to get what was available on our radio stations in upstate New York. Spoiler, it wasn't a lot. And then what they played on MTV. That was literally the only pipeline I had in a cow town, south of Syracuse. So a lot of it came to me. And I mentioned Priscilla, but like movies like Priscilla, movies like The Birdcage, etc., also kind of introduced me to these types of songs. So very grateful for those. With that being said, let's drop that beat and move into round two. The majority of the panel wants to keep the beat with One Seed Rhythm as a dancer by Snap, but Sandie thinks everyone needs to dance now by pushing Two Seed Gonna Make You Sweat by CNC Music Factory. Sandie, give me the music. Why should Sweat make it to the Final Four? Derek, why does Dancer remain a source of pleasure? I'll have Sandie go first.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
I know.
This was a tough one, but CNC Music Factory is like, and I know we're going to talk about it later, but it is the LaBouche of, like, if you're thinking of 90s dance music, you're thinking of CNC Music Factory. I just remember the CD covers. I remember the sequence, for Christ's sake. Like, I remember so much of it. Gonna Make You Sweat was like, it will make you shake your booty. And that is what 90s dance music was about. And so for me, I'm gonna go a little against you there, Derek, but CNC needs to be in there. Again, if you can Cabbage Patch to it, it's in for me. It's in.
The important Cabbage Patch metric. That's an important part of the rubric.
It's a sliding scale. It's a sliding scale, but yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Derek, talk to me about Rhythm as a Dancer by Snap.
Yes. Well, before I go into that, shout out to Martha Wash, because she provided the vocals, the iconic "Everybody Dance Now," iconic. And for those who don't know, Martha Wash has a long history in dance music, because she was famous for being one half of 2 Tons of Fun, who, as we all know, recorded It's Raining Men. So shout out to
the Weather Girls. They became the
Weather Girls. She was 1 ton. Got it.
Yes, she was 1 ton of fun. Yes.
But I'm here to talk about Rhythm as a Dancer, which for me is the iconic Snap track. I don't mind showing my cards here. The top 2 90s dance hits for me will always be Show Me Love by Robin S. and Rhythm as a Dancer by Snap. It's got grit. It's thumping, and the sound it delivers is just iconically 90s house. It's almost got a spiritual quality to it. Oddly enough, it wasn't until Snap tested out this song in clubs that they decided to release it as a single. It was a huge hit, eventually reaching number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the Dance Club Songs. It's not complicated. It beckons you to dance, and that's the hallmark of a true 90s dance hit. In its simplicity, one can almost compare it to Donna Summer's legendary dance hit, I Feel Love.
Ooh, he went there. All right. Ryan, where are you on this one?
I think I'm sticking with Rhythm as a Dancer for all the reasons that Derek mentioned. It's got a sick bass beat. It's got great resonant, lots of reverb in the vocals. It just has a very big sound.
I'm very torn on this one. I'll be candid about that because I think they're both excellent songs. This also could be a final two. I think CNC doesn't get enough credit for the lyrics in this song.
Yes.
Trying to get a nut to move your butt is a great line. It's a great line.
How can you pass that up?
I know. And the Martha Wash of it all has to, like, as Derek mentioned, she sued the shit out of these people because they did not credit her properly when it was released, and they put someone else in the video who was a skinny, beautiful woman, and she's like, they're making it look like that girl is singing my music, and she's not.
It used to happen all the time.
That's
all
right.
the time.
All the time. That was a huge 90s thing. Yeah.
Yep. So that's, but my gut when listening to these songs was to go with Rhythm as a Dancer. And I'll tell you, part of the problem is Gonna Make You Sweat is the title of the song. But if it was called Everybody Dance Now, I feel like that would immediately connect to me. But like, that is part of my issue. Gonna Make You Sweat.
That may be the parenthetical title.
It could be.
It is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like,
yeah.
I think the 90s dance music had a lot of parenthetical titles. I think that was like a caveat of like, I don't know. I this was just something that we observed going through this, but
and sometimes it had to. Nobody knows that song is called Gypsy Woman. They all just call it She's Homeless.
She's homeless. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But all that being said, I think I am going to throw my vote here to Rhythm as a Dancer, and so it will advance into round 3. But we love CNC Music Factory. Next, it's a unanimous victory for 1 seed Be My Lover by LaBouche, which gave a wedgie to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and 2 seed Good Vibrations. The panel is evenly split between 2 seed 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters and 1 seed The Rhythm of the Night by Corona. Ryan, why are you still on the night shift? I will take a refreshing dip into the cool Crystal Waters to push for love. Ryan, you go first.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Rhythm of the Night here again. I think it's got a BPM that's in kind of that dance club sweet spot. It comes in at a 127.8, and it just really works as a transitional track. There's so many ways to mix this in and to have it be like the way you can move a crowd. You can really change the mood of a room really easily using this track.
I love that you're bringing the DJ science to this. That is something that none of the rest of us are. So that's a great element to bring to the conversation. I will say from my strictly do I enjoy the songs or not, it does nothing for me. It never has. Whereas 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters, girl. So the drum line in this song is so hot. Crystal's vocals are so sultry. The chorus slaps. The bridge is almost hypnotic, building up these chained phrases on top of one another. It is a great strut in that ass song, and it just oozes sex. I just don't think Rhythm of the Night has ever been a lip sync on RuPaul's Drag Race. And this song produced one of the most legendary ones from recent seasons. While you can say that is not relevant, it speaks to the enduring legacy as well as the funkiness of 100% Pure Love. It is drag queen tested and Mother Ru approved. So with that being said, I'll take it to the votes. Sandie, where are you on this one?
100% Pure Love.
Derek, where are you on this one?
I am also with 100% Pure Love on this.
Because I think someone must have swung there because initially
I
it was
did.
split. Okay, so that means that 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters is going into the final 4. Ryan, will you ever forgive me?
No, I think that's completely fair. I think this matchup is actually really good because it highlights this discernment between purpose in music. I feel like the Crystal Waters track being, I believe, don't quote me, I believe this is in a major key, whereas Rhythm of the Night is in a minor key. They have different vibes to them and different purposes. Pure Love is like upbeat and happy and bright, whereas Rhythm of the Night is like you're grinding on the dance floor. It's like a bit more underground of a vibe.
You're right.
Well, now you're making me want to go for the one that makes me grind on the dance floor.
I mean,
Thanks, Ryan.
it's a good time.
It is. No, I'm sticking with Pure Love here. So it will advance to the final four. Finally, in round 2, I believe that we have close to unanimous decision, as 3-seed Show Me Love by Robin S. appears to be more in fashion than 1-seed Vogue by Madonna. But I'd like to strike a pose and defend Vogue before we move forward. I think it's possibly controversial in this bracket because while it is a dance hit, it's really bigger than this genre.
Yes.
It is a seminal pop song of the 90s, and I suspect my fellow panelists wanted purely dance hits to make the final four. Is that correct? I heard Derek say yes. I see Ryan nodding his head. Sandie, was that where you were coming from too?
Yes, absolutely. I just think that I mean, we can credit Madonna for 50 million other things.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, this just felt right to not move her forward.
And that's, I completely get it, and I'm fine, but I do want to speak at least about Vogue, since it is was unanimous decision in round 1. When Vogue was released in 1990, it was a literal sensation.
Mm-hmm.
There had never been another song like it on pop radio, at least that I can think of. It was everywhere, which is especially impressive because it was released as the first single from the Dick Tracy soundtrack, I'm Breathless. It wasn't even a regular Madonna album. It was a film soundtrack.
Yeah.
The song has, of course, sparked criticism in recent years, with Madonna being accused of stealing the voguing art form from the LGBTQ ballroom scene. There's no point in denying that. However, I think we can also acknowledge at this point that if not for Vogue and also Paris is Burning, the documentary film, it's an art form that would never have been given any exposure to mainstream America. It just wouldn't. Yeah. So it's very much a double-edged sword here. No other song on this list was a cultural movement in the way that Vogue was. Every young woman and gay boy in America knew the spoken word interlude to this song when it first came out. You knew every single classic Hollywood name dropped, and it probably introduced many Gen Xers to half those actors.
Indeed.
Again, no other song on this list had that kind of ubiquity, but I understand on a 90s dance hits bracket why we're like, as Sandie exactly pointed out, Madonna has had it. She has gotten her flowers. We need to give it to someone else who's not literally touring the world right now with the Celebration tour, making billions of dollars. So
who's Madonna?
Yeah, exactly. Derek, you're sticking with Robin S.
I am.
Ryan, you're sticking with Robin S.
Yes, also for similar reasons to the last round, where context is key here. Vogue is as above ground as you get, whereas Show Me Love, I think, got a good amount of play in those clubs that were like 3 sub levels below street level. So it's a bit of a distinction there. Yeah,
it's the type of club that you can get a blowjob in the corner. That's what Ryan is. That is part of his rubric. Sandie, you're sticking with Robin S. here.
I'm sticking with Robin S. here.
All right. So blowjobs in the corner advance to round 4.
Check.
And with that, we are at our final 4. We're going to take another quick break to strike a pose. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do you suffer from phomophobia? That's the fear of missing out on important events that connect you to the world. You don't want to be the only person at work not talking about the most recent episode of the show everyone's dying to watch, right? Why not sign up for the Great Pop Culture Debate's free weekly newsletter? You'll get a curated list of upcoming releases in TV, music, film, and games, so you'll never be left out of the conversation. Avoid the FOMO. Head to greatpopculturedebate.com and subscribe today.
I've got kids, and that means it's always about them. But I need support too. That's where Ollie comes in, with their delightful, hardworking gummies. My partner and I can actually get a good night's sleep, so we'll both stand a chance of managing our stress responses. Even when the kids are doing parkour in the living room. Discover Ollie vitamins and supplements. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
And we are back with the final four of our best 90s dance hit debate. At this point in the show, I always like to take a step back and see if the F4 matches up with what I figured. No, it does not. But we do have two 1 seeds, a 2 seed, and a 3 seed. It's Rhythm is a Dancer by Snap, a 1 seed, versus Be My Lover by LaBouche, a 1 seed, and 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters, a 2 seed, versus Show Me Love by Robin S., a 3 seed. I know that, Sandie, you said you were kind of surprised by this. Which is the part that's surprising you?
The fact that Robin S. is this far along blows my mind.
Really?
But it does. LaBouche is like,
Okay, we'll get into it.
the
We'll get into it.
epitome of. Okay, sorry. Okay, all right.
No,
Well,
you're good. You're good. I asked you for your
Well,
opinion.
I know.
You gave it.
I know, but you know what? Then my brother talks, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut down now. All right.
You're good. Derek,
Typical.
the typical. Derek, you're the Patreon sponsor. Is this the final four that you had? I'm curious.
It might be. Don't know.
Oh.
I don't think I had LaBouche going this far. Oh wait, maybe I
Okay.
did. Yes, I
Wait.
did. No, I did. Yeah, this is pretty much on par with what I got.
Sandie, you were
Wait.
going to say something?
Yeah, because I literally never do brackets, so I'm like, who are the final four really?
Right.
I'm looking at this like this is calligraphy. I
No.
mean,
No.
yeah, no, okay.
Ryan, is this about the final four that you expected?
I got 3 out of the 4.
Okay, so y'all are doing better than I was, but that makes sense because I was from Kicktown, and so we only had dance music that made it onto mainstream radio. So let's strike it up. First up, it's Rhythm is a Dancer by Snap versus Be My Lover by LaBouche. These are both 1 seeds. We're going to go around the horn for your vote. Derek, which one are you going with?
I'm sticking with Rhythm as a Dancer.
Ryan, where are you going with?
It's a tough call, but I'm going with LaBouche, Be My Lover. For me, it's like proto amber sexual Lee-Da-Dee,
Sure.
if you will.
Yeah.
It's got that high energy, those iconic vocals. Take a drink. And Be My Lover also was a commercial breakout success. It was number 1 on a horde of charts worldwide. So it's got that and it's under its belt as well.
Great. Sandie, where are you on this one?
I'm going LaBouche. There is no contest, so.
So, Rhythm of the Dancer was our ultimate number 1 vote here. I have to say, looking at these 2 songs, part of my rubric was the energy level, the intensity of these songs, and they're fairly even matched, but I find the vocals in Be My Lover have this passionate quality to them, this
aggressive.
unbridled energy, this sexuality to it. I can't even believe I'm saying that. I'm thinking about like 13-year-old Eric would be like, oh my God, calm down. You're embarrassing me. But like, I think that particular song, it probably made me uncomfortable as a teenager because it is so inherently sexual.
Sure.
And that's why I choose to embarrass my teenage self. I'm giving it to LaBouche. So that will advance to our final 2. Next, it's 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters, a 2 seed, versus Show Me Love by Robin S., 3 seed. We're going to start at the back of the order. Sandie, I have a suspicion where you're going here. Where are you voting?
I'm going Crystal Waters.
Ryan, where are you?
I had Rhythm of the Night advancing in this slot, so this is a tough toss-up, but I think I'm going to stick with the Robin S. track.
Derek?
I am sticking with Show Me Love.
I figured you were. So I'm 100% behind 100% Pure Love here. That brings us to a tie. I believe at this point in the order, Ryan, is it your tiebreaker? So are we going with Robin S.?
Oh, yes, we are. We're going with that underground, dark, grindy bass beat.
Blowjobs in the corner. Sandie, I think you and I can both be on the same wavelength here that 100% Pure Love by Crystal Waters is that song that you're feeling that puss deep down in your soul, right?
Deeply.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Those 2 tracks have almost the exact same BPM. So note to self, I'm going to try to match those 2 together later.
There you go. All right, so we have a final 2 of Be My Lover by LaBouche versus Show Me Love by Robin. That's a 3 seed versus a 1 seed, the Cinderella story of the evening. I'm going to start right in the middle of the pack. Ryan, Be My Lover or Show Me Love?
I love both of these tracks, but I got to stick with LaBouche.
All right, Sandie, where are you?
1000% LaBouche.
Derek?
I'm so disappointed in both of you.
I mean, look at the LaBouche catalog.
I know. I completely agree.
Toppers.
I understand what you're saying. I think for me, it's that it comes down to Be My Lover is a very mid-90s dance track, whereas Show Me Love feels more in that early 90s vein. And that's just where my head is, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they're 2 years apart. Be My Lover is 95 and Show Me Love is 93.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Derek did reference this, and we've dealt with this in numerous episodes of this podcast. There are such a thing as micro decades and micro generations, and it depends. Like as the Patreon sponsor of this episode, Derek, you had more in mind the early 90s rather than the late 90s. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yes, absolutely.
Sadly, it is not just early 90s. It is all of 90s. And so I'm about to disappoint you 3 times over. And I'm going to give it to Be My Lover by LaBouche. I just think it is of the 90s dance tracks. And this is, there could have been any number of winners on this one. I'm going to be really honest with you. Like, I could have seen at least 4 or 5 of these songs taking it. Sure. But this is certainly one of the ones that I could. So, Derek, I'm sorry. Are you going to be overly disappointed?
No, I'm fine. Okay. I mean, okay. Well, let me say, I have a lot more to say about Show Me Love, but I know that I'm not going to sway you guys more. But I just will say that Show Me Love has become a meme unto itself. It's a literal siren call for Gen X and elder millennials to have a mini dance party in their car. It is also one of the only, if not the only, songs in all of these brackets that is certified gold. None of these other tracks have had that chart success.
That's crazy to me.
Okay, wait, but I did a lot of research on the certification process, and there are a ton of these songs that were on this bracket that did not get recertified.
Yeah.
So, no, but they didn't get recertified for the different gold, silver, gold, platinum levels. So,
I hear you.
Just to be fair, so.
Interesting.
Be My Lover was gold in Austria, France, Germany, Norway, and the U.S.
Correct.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Well, it's good to know. But anyway, we will be moving forward. Be My Lover is our pick for the best 90s dance hit. Do you agree? Do you think we're way off beat? Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or Mastodon. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. If you really enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to like and rate the episode or the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or whatever platform you listen on. I want to say thank you to my panel. Like Robin Ness, you've got to show your love. And thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where we get episodes a whole day early, as well as more exclusive content. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. Derek, don't hurt me.